Well, Mark, just tell us, first of all, how's the campaign going?
Not bad. It's quite a challenge because everything that's usually a public event, they're not having them this year, so it's a totally different campaign, but it's not going too bad.
What do you think it's going to take for you to this time around?
I'm going to have to use a lot of media, especially the public media, newspapers, radio, in order to get the word out. There's 78,000 voters in this district, and one-on-one you can only hit maybe 3,000 or 4,000, which is what happened the last time I ran. I hit 3,000 people one time and hit a different 3,000 the other. People remembered my campaign, and the third time the same thing happened. I got more votes than before, and it's because I'm keeping the support that I gained each time I ran. So I believe that if people hear the message that I have, that how we should change our society, I believe they'll agree with me. We have problems in our society. There is a way to correct it, and I believe if they look at the proposals, especially like the Divide New York, our problem is that we took the districts, the election districts for the Assembly and the Senate, and we literally just destroyed them in terms of a relationship to counties. We need to bring that relationship back, and I believe if we do that, most of the regional discrepancies will disappear. We didn't have this problem for 177 years, and once the Supreme Court said we have to go exactly by population, and we left the county organization, we've had increasing numbers of calls for Divide New York because of that. We need to tell the Supreme Court they made a mistake, and we need to fix it ourselves, or we're going to see the Divide New York movement actually succeed, and I think that would be a disaster. I want to save the Empire State.
What do you think the issues are this cycle that the voters decide to vote for?
Well, a couple of really big issues. One, besides the current structure of our election districts, I believe the biggest one is the tyranny, the abuse of the budget system to basically implement legislation that in one case, the legislation will literally destroy third parties. You won't see them in the future unless it's successfully challenged and changed. The other thing is you will see the incumbents and the two major parties, their candidates are going to have a taxpayer-funded campaign slush fund for them to campaign on. It'll be absolutely impossible for other people to challenge them in the future. We need to reverse those two rulings that went through because of the tyrannous legislation that went through on the budget. It shouldn't go through on a budget. It should be legislation by the legislation.
So, why should people vote for you over Steve Hall?
Pardon?
Why should people vote for you over Steve Hall?
Well, for one, Steve and I like Steve. Steve's a really nice guy. If you meet him, you're going to like him. But the problem is he's pretty much entrenched in the direction we've been going. I believe he will not fight to restore the county representation in the state. I think what he's pushing for, and he's introduced legislation to actually have a resolution to find out how much support there is for dividing New York State, and that's the way he will go if there seems to be a lot of support. He won't try to go back to the way we were when we had no problems and everyone had representation. That's just one example. But the other example is that he brags about bringing home the bacon. He's very good at bringing home money, bringing into this district money. $2,000 for yogurt companies, the $28 million for the 77 stamp project. Even the balance of the Buffalo Billion, $630 million was dedicated to the 77 stamp project, but it went into two different state-run corporations, and now it's considered private money. They don't have to account for it. I believe one of the problems that Steve bringing home the bacon is that there's no follow-through. There's no making sure that the bacon was actually used for what it was intended. And I view bringing home the bacon as nothing more than an act of tyranny. It's taking money out of other people's pockets and giving it to select groups of people, and those people are actually treated like kings because they're not going to have to pay taxes for 10 years, where everybody else is going to have to pick up the taxes and pay for the budget for the services that these people are going to get. I'm totally opposed to that process. I consider it an act of tyranny, and I would like to put an end to the IDA's arbitrarily given out grants. I also believe that this $10 million that was given to Batavia itself, it's really a sham because there's not really cash involved there. The $10 million breaks down to tax credits. Basically, what the $10 million represents is the amount of money that the taxpayers in Genesee County and Orleans County are going to have to pay instead of these people paying the taxes. So I'm opposed to that. This is just not right. We need to end the state getting involved in the development of businesses. If cutting taxes and eliminating taxes is good for a business, bringing a lot of investment, then cut the taxes for all the businesses and stop being selective about it. Because even the Dick's Sporting Goods, when that went in, 2 stores that had been in Batavia for a long time shut down, the 2 sports stores. And they're ignoring the negative impacts of all these government activities.